The Bobby O Show.
Welcome to the Bobby O Show. My name is Bobo Potzner, and I have a show that I think we're going to really enjoy. It's a little bit offbeat, but that's okay. I'm a little bit offbeat sometimes myself. The theme of today's show is going to be Valentine's Day. You might say, "What? Why are you doing a show about Valentine's Day?" Because I think there are a lot of different angles and thoughts that go into Valentine's Day, which we're going to hear about today with my special guest, Dr. Deborah Gilman, who's a licensed psychologist. And we think we have a lot of fun to share with everybody today. So let's first of all say hello to Dr. Deborah Gilman. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Bobby. How are you?
I'm doing great. I love the red. You've got the red lipstick, the red outfit, the red flowers, and I even have a red candy for you. I couldn't get you a whole box for the show, but I got you a little red candy, which I'll eat later as a virtual sharing with you. Deborah, why don't you first start out? I know you're from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I first met you at a seminar, and you were phenomenal. And we've had several shows together. Tell us about a minute or so about who you are and your background, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I am a licensed psychologist. I'm out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I work with families. I work a lot with relationships, and I am a strong, strong believer in love, and actually a really strong believer in self-love, especially. And I think that, today is going to be a really fun conversation that we can have to talk about how to celebrate love in all forms and to help you on your journey of your life connecting to lots and lots of different people in your lives.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to tell you a little bit, Deb, before we get into my explanation of the history of Valentine's Day. And that is not my Valentine calling me, but I can't reach the phone to shut it off. But in any event, in addition to telling us a little bit about Valentine's Day, I'm going to have a phenomenal singer join us, if all goes well technologically, who will sing a little bit about love on our show today. But I first want to tell you, Deborah, you and I know this, or you know this, I told you I was going to do it. I did a little research on what is Valentine's Day, because we all seem to think we know what Valentine's Day is. And I did not do the kind of research we do in my office for legal cases, but I did, of course, I went on to the internet to see what is Valentine's Day, and I was shocked at what I found. The concept of Valentine's Day goes back to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and it wasn't really initially involving love and romance. As I understand it, there were two Valentines who were significant in historical Catholicism, and they were both murdered, and they both were deemed to be martyrs in the Catholic Church. And so there's a whole history about that, which I'm not attuned to the entire religious perspective. I don't want to mess it up, but there is a history of Valentine's that goes to various two martyrs. And apparently, because there isn't a lot of research that was done and knowledge done about the saints for Valentine's Day, that apparently the Catholic Church removed it as a feast day from the calendar, but it still recognized St. Valentine as a saint. But we turn now from that to the idea of romanticism. And then I wanted to find out, well, how do we go from that to the romantic perspective of Valentine's Day? I thought maybe it was just created by Hallmark cards, but I'm not far off. The first link that was discovered to Valentine's Day was from a middle of 14th century writer named Geoffrey Chaucer. I never took any classes involving Chaucer reading because I never could understand Middle English, but he is the first person to have apparently tied in Valentine's Day to romanticism. And the poem that he wrote was called, what was it called? The Parliament of Fowls, the Parliament of Fowls. And it tied in romance to birds. And I'm going to read you a portion, 4 or 5 lines from Chaucer's poetry to give you the historical perspective. And it's all written in Middle English, so it's not spelled correctly. But here's what he said. For this was on St. Valentine's Day, whan every fowl cometh there to cheese his make. I think they mean mate. Of every kind that men think way, may. So this and that so huge a nose gan they make. Now I'm not sure if I understand what he said, but apparently he's saying love, romanticism, and that carried forward to the 1900s, and then Hallmark cards did take things away, and it became a Hallmark cards holiday. So that's, ladies and gentlemen, my historical perspective of what is Valentine's Day. Deborah, did I shock you with the first of all the research and what we found?
Yeah, it's amazing. It goes all the way back to ancient days. So, and now it's a $25 billion industry.
That's we're not getting paid $25 billion for this particular show.
No,
So,
no.
Deborah, we're going to approach Valentine's Day from several perspectives. You want to give us a little idea as to how we're going to do this?
Yeah, so I think it's important to talk a little bit about the pressure and the joy that Valentine's Day can bring. And depending on whether you're in a new relationship or, in a relationship that's been long term, there is expectations. And we have to talk a little bit about that, especially when we're thinking about when a relationship is new. Sometimes people view Valentine's Day like a relationship report card, a test of how much effort someone is willing to put into the relationship, and also maybe how people are envisioning this relationship. I once had a client who had a boyfriend, a kind of new boyfriend, buy concert tickets for a concert that was happening in August. So it's February, it's August, and she's like, I don't really know how to think about this gift. I like the band, I appreciate the gesture, but what if we're not together in August to, have this concert experience together? And so sometimes the gestures that somebody do can maybe signal some things in the relationship. I was doing some research as well, and I saw something that said one of the worst Valentine's Day gifts to get or to give is bath salts. And I was thinking to myself, why bath salts would be a weird gift? And it said that some people might think you're trying to cleanse the toxicity out of your relationship, or you want to cleanse this person out of your relationship. So I think we have to think about what type of gesture might actually lead to disappointment and what type of gesture might be something that actually hits the key to the heart. And sometimes there's that gap between expectation and reality. And so communication is key. I think Bobby
Debbie,
and I, we talk about that a lot, don't we?
yeah, yeah. Here's what I want to say. I can, as you're talking now, and the audience should know that we do preparation for the shows, but of course, we both have tangents when we talk about these things. But I'm thinking about when I was in high school and college, and when you're talking about in those days, if you have a lady who you like and you've had a couple of dates in high school or college, whatever, when's the cutoff point when you have to buy a gift? And what if you don't buy a gift? Am I going to hurt her feelings if I don't buy her a gift? Or is she going to be worried that I'm coming on too strong? So I can remember those in high school, college, even law school, whatever. So there is pressure to be thought about. And then there's a pressure on the recipient, right? So those are things. Do you have a chart you want to show us that will help us lead into this?
Yeah, what I was going to talk about is those expectations around the romantic gestures. Really what we need to do in our relationships is communicate. And sometimes it's hard to communicate about how you feel love or how you give love. Oftentimes it's behaviors that show our love language. So Gary Chapman, wonderful psychologist, coined the term love languages in the 1990s, and there are 5 love languages that tie into how people give love and how people feel love. And if you can talk with your partner about love languages, there's great free resources on the internet where you can actually take a love languages quiz. And that might be a really romantic Valentine's Day thing to do, perhaps for some people, is to really communicate and find out what is your love language. So, words of affirmation. A heartfelt letter might be much more meaningful than an expensive dinner for somebody who really wants to hear the words. And maybe a poem, like you just read in the beginning of the show, Bobby, would be something that a person who really feels love through words of affirmation would appreciate. When you
One
think
thing,
about,
Deborah, on that words,
yeah,
and you said write a letter. People don't write letters anymore. And I think one thing I observe from young people, people in their teens, in their 20s, and even 30s, there's so much done by texting and emails. I don't know how you can ask a young lady out for a date, for example, by text, but they do it nowadays. And I don't know how you break up with a young lady or say Happy Valentine's Day by texting and emailing. So when you say words of affirmation, I'm thinking in days gone by, words meant saying words. Any comment upon how you deliver the message?
Yeah, it can be saying words too. And I think anything that maybe is above and beyond what you would typically do. You could even leave a post-it note on the mirror in the bathroom, so they can see that lovely affirmation word. Or, for kids, putting the little note in the lunchbox is another thing. So it doesn't have to be this long, big gesture, but just knowing that if a word of affirmation hits the heart, then that's the way you want to really get to your Valentine. So dinner will be lovely, but what's really going to hit their heart is those words, and something that's a little bit more of a step up from what you typically do, a text or anything else.
Deborah, I'm laughing only not at you, but I'm laughing thinking about the movie Sex and the City. And I don't know if you saw it, but
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw's boyfriend Big broke up the wedding on a text and a post-it.
Yes.
So you got to be careful how you go about what you do. Let's go. So you've given different levels of on your chart. What do you do in an early relationship situation? How do you figure out? And you mentioned the word communication. That's important in anything you do. I've said many times, why do we have Mother's Day or Father's Day? We have a day for everything. You should be nice to your mother and your father and your sister and your brother and everybody else and your girlfriend or whatever every day. Why do we have a special day? So I'm a little bit questioning that. Some people say only people who are amateurs drink on New Year's Eve, for example. So what do you have thoughts about celebrating this holiday?
Well, I will agree with you that there's a lot of research that shows that in established relationships, people who emphasize that everyday romance rather than grand gestures tend to report higher relationship satisfaction. They tend to stay in their relationships more because they are communicating and they're doing these little everyday things that they know shows love and appreciation to their partner. But I really like the idea of having another day that sets aside some time, especially when life is really busy, that you can set some time aside to really celebrate your relationship. And again, communicating ahead of time what would make this day feel special for you. I mean, if you have young children and your partner creates a big, like, wonderful date for you but doesn't set up the babysitter, that's probably not going to make the day feel special. It's going to be really stressful, right, for both of you. So I think making sure you communicate and you talk, and even shifting the focus to something that could be a shared experience where you plan together and you talk together about those things. Some people I know go as far as recreating a first date or a memorable date. So that can be something nice. But I think communication, again, is always the key. And I think Valentine's Day is worth celebrating for sure.
You had in the post a few minutes ago, you had love language. And one thing you had we didn't talk about, I think, is receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Do you want to hit on those a little bit?
Yeah, so acts of service is one, right? So that would be planning and taking care of all the details for the night. That might be really appreciated more than a gift, that you just don't have, that other person doesn't even have to think about a single thing. Receiving gifts, if that's your partner's love language, a thoughtful present, even if it's small, even if it's a candy that you have because it's their favorite candy, or you stop off and get them something, that can make an impact. It doesn't have to be diamonds or big things. Quality time, just spending some time together, a quiet evening together, taking a walk together, taking that time to be together, not a flashy outing. And then physical touch is just, cuddling on the couch, a slow dance at home, holding hands, sitting and watching a show together. That physical touch is nice. It doesn't, again, have to be anything giant and over the top, but just know how your partner receives love and tap into that particular love language.
And it's funny, we're talking about this as though we're experts. You're an
Well,
expert.
I mean, I'm just kidding.
You're an expert in mental health professional, and I'm an attorney. We can't say experts. Ethically, lawyers cannot say they're experts. But it's funny, we're just trying to give certain thoughts to get to express things for people to think about. And you mentioned words of affirmation. Sometimes, in my opinion, you say physical touch. Sometimes the unspoken word and the look, the body language can be very important in expressing how you feel. I want to go to the last slide, Jonathan, my director. Yes, this is a slide that comes in, and I've had a guest several times, Michelle Phillips, who's written a book called Happiness is a Habit. And this is one of her themes. I think it's also Gary Chapman's theme you mentioned. Devote this day to loving yourself more. Devote this day to loving yourself more. Explain why you chose that particular slide, Deborah.
Well, loving yourself is just as important as loving someone else, and putting time into you is so important. Knowing what makes you feel valued and appreciated, and acknowledging it and doing it for yourself, whether you're in a relationship or not. Taking yourself out, practicing gratitude, indulging in something that brings you joy is a really powerful way to celebrate you and remind yourself that you're important as much as your partner's important. If you don't feel whole, if you don't feel like you prioritize your needs or even are living authentically in your own self, then it's going to be really hard to bring yourself into a relationship in an authentic way, whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or even being a parent. So making sure that you're treating yourself special and that you're acknowledging that self-love and, the things that are important to you.
I want to move from the positive to the more negative, because we could talk, you and I, about grass growing for 3 hours and hopefully make it sound interesting. Sometimes you're in a situation where you're off a relationship or you don't have anyone in your life who's special. And that can be a stressful time while everyone else, quote, and we always say everyone else is doing this. We don't know what's going on behind the door. We don't know if the best marriage we think exists is a good marriage or not. But what about the person who doesn't get asked to go out on Valentine's Day, or someone who has no one to ask? How do they deal with those kinds of difficult situations?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to, one, if you feel like you have to grieve it, that's okay, because Valentine's Day can bring up grief, loneliness. Sometimes it also can bring up some relief, but it's okay to feel, right? It's okay to feel sad, nostalgic, maybe even angry, but we want to make sure that we're acknowledging those. So you could write a letter, you could write down your emotions, and then you could even burn it, right? Because we don't want to suppress emotions, which make it harder in the long run. Also, I would say if you're feeling really sad and you're having some grief, I would avoid the social media traps, because there's going to be those posts again about those grand gestures and couples celebrating, and that might be hard for you. So you might want to consider a digital detox for the day so that you don't feel bad. And definitely don't look at your ex's social media, because that will make you feel potentially really bad, right? So you want to make sure that you resist the trap of social media. And I say trap because it really is, because you said, Bob, it's those things that are happening. No one puts their worst day on social media typically, right? And then I think reframing the day. As a psychologist, we talk a lot about cognitive reframing. So instead of focusing on what's lost, use the day to celebrate maybe personal growth. What did you learn from that relationship? And I think it's Ariana Grande who has that "Thank You Next" song. So she talks about like a little bit of something that she got from each boyfriend she was with. And it's like, okay, thank you, next. I'm on to the other one. Think about that for yourself. Thank you, next. This was a meaningful relationship. Even if it didn't last, there was a reason I was in it, and I can move forward. And not everybody who's out on Valentine's Day is actually happily in love, as you and I probably both know in our professions as well, Bob, which is unfortunate. But don't look at what you're missing or compare yourself to other people. Really, again, indulge in some self-care, start a new tradition, shift the focus back on yourself and on your healing.
The grass is always greener on the other side, right? People always think that things are perfect. And I know from the work that I do, I've been a divorce attorney for many, many years. I do other litigation as well, but I'm doing a lot of divorce work. And you do what you do, and you see a lot of unhappiness, and you see people who maybe started out in a great relationship, but things don't turn out as you thought they might be doing. I believe we have Jenny Grace, who's going to be coming on any moment now. I'll be surprised when I see her, only because I'm not sure of the timing, but as soon as she gets on, we'll have her introduce her song, which is more of an upbeat, more positive situation. While we're waiting for Jenny to come on, let's talk a little bit about As Time Goes On. Let's have a great song from Chicago, I think, As Time Goes By. But in any event, let's talk about how people might be different when they're been married for 30 years or dating for 30 years, and the guy hasn't popped the question yet. What's the difference, you think, in how one might celebrate and how it impacts things? I think, by the way, Jenny is here, so let's put her on.
Oh.
Jenny Grace, how are you?
Hello, how are you? Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Introducing you to Dr. Deborah Gilman, who's a psychologist from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You've done shows in Pittsburgh area, have you not, Jenny?
Yes, around Pottsville, around Schuylkill County. We've had stuff last summer, so I love Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's great. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Jenny, you guys would be great friends. Jenny's a wonderful, wonderful lady and a great musician. And I invited her on today because I wish you a good Valentine's Day, by the way, Jenny. And
Thank you, and you too.
Thank you very much. I hope you ate that 2-pound box of chocolates. You would never do that. But in any event, Jenny, why don't you introduce a song you're going to play for us? We have it on video for you. The song that is called Dreaming.
Yes, Dreaming is a love song, country pop song. It was number 4 in the Netherlands on the iTunes country charts. And here it is. Okay,
we're going to play this song. Then don't go away, Jenny. We're going to ask you a few questions afterwards.
Sure.
Go ahead. Jonathan, you want to put on the song Dreaming on this happy Valentine's Day? And while we're waiting for it to start,
we both have such different lives, and this distance seems so far away. And I don't really know you, but somehow it feels like I do. All that I can see is that you're always in my energy. One look from you, and my heart is on fire. I know I shouldn't, but sometimes I think about you and dream about you. Oh yeah, I know I couldn't tell you just what I'm feeling, so now I'm dreaming of you. Did I know you in another time? Seems like our worlds collide. And now that you're here, there's nothing that seems clear. Tell me what you mean when I look into your eyes. Turn me upside down. No, I can't forget you now. I know I shouldn't, but sometimes I think about you and dream about you. Oh yeah, I know I couldn't tell you just what I'm feeling, so now I'm dreaming of you. I'll be dreaming of you. I'll be dreaming. Tell me, do you dream of me too? I know I shouldn't, but sometimes I think about you and dream about you. Yeah, I know I shouldn't, but sometimes I think about you and dream about you. Yeah, I know I couldn't tell you just what I'm feeling, so now I'm dreaming of you. Dreaming of you. Dreaming. Tell me, do you dream of me too?
That is an awesome. I think we lost the video of Jenny. That's awesome. I think it's awesome, Deb. A very typical, appropriate song for Valentine's Day.
Super beautiful, moving, beautiful.
Thank
I love
you.
it.
You know, Jenny, rather, in playing that kind of music, it really warms the heart, and you can see your soul in that. And I think anyone who wanted to buy a boyfriend or a girlfriend that album or what song that exists, it'd be a very beautiful thing. And I'm so fortunate on Valentine's Day to have two beautiful women of substance, of brilliance, of substance, etc. Jenny, before you go, two quick questions. You just released a new song. What's that called?
I have a new song out called River Bottoms, and that's on every platform under Jenny Grace. If you guys want to search it, Apple, iTunes, Spotify.
I've actually played it at least 24 times. It's a very good song. And number two, before you go, European tour. Do you have a tour coming up in Europe?
Yes, I have a rock band called Etheria, and we are going to be on tour opening up for Taria. She is the lead singer of Nightwish, which is very popular in Europe. And if you want to look it up, it's Etheria, Aetheria.
Jenny Grace, thank you for coming on this show. I know you're busy traveling around. Thank you so much. I'll give you a call later on, but thank you. Have a great Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. So now, Deborah, tell me how that song seems to fit into what we've been talking about in terms of expressing and communicating. If you watch the video closely, you'll see that Guy and she kind of walk past each other, and I think it's significant, and then they're sort of together. Any thoughts about how that may tie into what we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was adorable song, flirty, talk about communication, right? Go out and get the thing that you want, communicate about how you're feeling. You might not be dreaming anymore. You might be able to have the girl or the guy at the end of the day. So
we have about 2 minutes left. I'd like you to talk a few minutes about, as relationships get longer in the tooth, where you're married for 20 or 30 years or whatever, how do you do to keep the feeling alive?
Well, really, as relationships mature, researchers have found that Valentine's Day transitions from those grand romantic gestures to meaningful, personalized expressions of love. So it's less about the performance and more about how do you deepen connection, deepen that emotional intimacy, and really prioritize that emotional closeness and mutual appreciation. So there is actually a Valentine's scale, which is a tool that's used to measure relationship satisfaction. And it shows that more couples who prioritize consistency, emotional security, everyday romance instead of those one-off celebrations actually have more relationship security. So in new relationships, partners use Valentine's Day maybe to confirm commitment or assess where they stand. Long-term couples really feel more secure in their bond, and they just celebrate companionship. And so the good thing is those consistent acts of care throughout the year just solidify. And so Valentine's Day can be, again, a meaningful, low pressure time to connect, but still having that time to connect is important.
Deborah, I love being with you. Thank you for being my Valentine today, and to Jenny Grace for being my Valentine today also. And by the way, I'm going to virtually give you this chocolate candy because I'm going to bite it now. Thank you, everybody. This is Bobby O on the Bobby O Show on Valentine's Day. Hope you have a great day, everybody. See ya.